Improving in climbing boils down to a very simple cycle. You first try something that is way too hard for you. You train tirelessly for it. And one day, you wake up to find that you can actually now do it. But instead of getting that joy and gratification that you craved for so long, you simply realize just how much worse you are at climbing than you previously thought. And then the cycle repeats itself. Forever. Over the years, you'll have glimpses of feeling content with your progress, but somehow, satisfaction always sits at the completion of the next end and never at the current one. So today, we're going to be taking a closer look at this cruel, never-ending cycle through the 7 levels of climbing purgatory. So you walk into a climbing gym for the very first time, and let's just say you're not great. Don't get me wrong, it's super fun, but man, you are absolute mega cheeks at this. Even the easiest things they have available feel like a max effort workout for you. That's okay though, because you aren't doing this to be good. I mean, you don't even know what a good climber even looks like. That girl just did a V4 in a single try. That's absolutely mind-blowing for you. One day, you hope to be as good as she is. Now don't you worry, because you'll be in her shoes quite soon. But at what cost? Because little did you know at the time, you have now just picked up a surprisingly expensive and very, very painful addiction. But your naive soul is having a lot of fun. So, much to your wallet's dismay, you decide it's worth it to pay for the $85 a month membership at your local gym. If you don't like it as much as you thought you would, you can just cancel it, right? This is the first thing in a long time that you really feel like you might be able to get good at. You spot your friend who first introduced you to climbing, and holy shit, he's doing some of the most insane things that you've ever seen a person do. Damn, I'm already having fun on these basic ladder routes. Imagine how fun it will be once I'm as strong as he is. So you've been going consistently for a bit now, and wow, you're improving so quickly. Now it's your turn to mog people on those V4s like that girl was doing to you before. This is the last time that climbing will ever feel simple. You're improving incredibly fast, you have no injuries, and you start thinking you might actually be good at this. Don't get me wrong, you're still really, really bad. But now you're bad and annoying. You start to have a bit of a chip on your shoulder and start giving unsolicited advice to other climbers in the gym. Yeah, that one's like really techie. Like it's more about your body positioning, you know? You can't really just muscle through it. Try thinking more with your feet and not just with your hands. You now have opinions about setting and grades all of a sudden. Bro, this V5? It's like a V3. What are they doing? Dude, I'm telling you, the sets in this gym are whack. Oh my god, the humidity in here is so high. You start trying to downsize 3 shoe sizes for some reason, when all of the climbs you're trying still have footholds that are like 2 meters wide. You also start to see a huge identity shift to yourself. Yo, so like I was at the gym the other day and, oh, what'd you hit? My fingers. Why do you need bigger fingers? Don't worry about it. You didn't start climbing to be good at it. You just were having fun. But now you kind of are doing it to get good. And you kind of are. At least you think so. I mean, sometimes you can even start to try what your friend is working on, which was absolutely ridiculous a few months ago. But man, like the best climbers in the gym are just insane. Like, I can't even hold the positions on a V8, but I saw somebody the other day come in and do it as a warm-up. How's that even possible? I mean, imagine how incredible it'll feel to be able to walk into any climbing gym and know that you'll be able to do any of the climbs that are put up. One day I'll be that person. This is the last level where climbing still just feels like a hobby to you. You're training most days now, and you've dealt with countless small tweaks in your wrists, elbows, and fingers. Not to mention your lumbrical is still hurting from that pocket you pulled on 4 months back. Your bank account was already in pain before, but now, it's in hell. The shoes you buy now cost $200 on sale, and because your footwork is still so ass, you gotta replace them every 2 months. And you just dropped $700 on some hard couch cushions. And worst of all, you've just spent your entire month's rent on a gallon drum of mag juice. But you don't really care, because you're getting so much better. Climbs that you could barely touch a month ago, you can do in a session now. Even some of the hardest climbs in the gym start to feel possible. Now it's your turn to take your regular friends to the climbing gym and see how they watch in awe as you effortlessly walk through all the moderates in the gym. And that one friend who introduced you to climbing, well, now you're the one flashing his projects. In fact, you might be the best in the entire friend group. And as we all know, there is no better place to be than the best in the entire friend group. But even though you were dreaming about this day not too long ago, suddenly, you don't even care about the gym climbs anymore, because the gym is just training. Outdoors is where things truly matter. God, just imagine being able to walk up to any hard climb at your local crag and just send it in a session. That must be so amazing. I can't wait for the day I can do that. But all things considered, at least you're still stoked about all the progress you've made in the past few months. That is, until this happens. Wow, I've been improving so quickly, and I just sent my first V9. I can't wait to share this on Instagram. Wait, what's this? Oh, well, I mean, good for him. Like, there's no reason to compare myself to other people, you know? Well, that's really crazy, but like, she's probably been climbing for a lot longer than me, and you know. So this is the level that you realize that none of the boulders or routes in the gym are really challenging enough for you anymore. Sure, occasionally they'll put something up that gives you a little bit of trouble, but if you don't flash the entire new set, it's a bad day for you. So you must be so stoked about this, right? In the past few years, you've been climbing the grades at this gym, ogling at the best climbers, feeling absolutely baffled at how they make the hardest climbs look so easy. Well, now you're exactly where they were, so you must feel so happy with how far you've come, right? But instead of feeling grateful for everything you've been able to accomplish, you now just convince yourself that all the boulders and routes in the gym, they're all just really soft, and that you were even worse at climbing before than what you realized at the time. Over the years, you may be getting a lot better, but somehow at each level, you feel as weak as ever. Hell, you've done outdoor V12s and 514As, but somehow you feel weaker than when you did your first gym V4. Even worse, now that you have barely anybody to compete with in your area, for inspiration, you just doom scroll online and are constantly met with the reminder that despite how far you've come, you're still not good enough. Before you took aches and pains very seriously and tried to never climb when things are hurting. But now, having a session where everything feels completely normal is rarer than finding a climber with half-decent posture. And on top of all that, you're having to climb more intensely and frequently to get a fraction of the progress that you had before. Oh well, I mean, you just have to keep getting better, right? One day, you'll be that person on Instagram making everyone feel bad, downgrading everyone's projects and calling everything soft, and campusing the most insane shit imaginable. And once you get there, that's when you're finally gonna feel like you're good at this sport. You've gotten good enough in climbing to get some pretty significant recognition within the community. Now you're not quite as good as that little shit that keeps popping into your feed every time you start to feel good about yourself, but you're getting there. And you've managed to do something that amateur and pro climbers alike struggle to do, and that's actually make a little bit of money from climbing. And in the 1 in 100 session, where your fingers aren't inflamed, your joints aren't hurting, and your skin isn't ripped to shreds, you actually feel really good and almost get proud of yourself for a second. That is, until you get on a climb that's supposedly 6 grades below your max level and can somehow just barely pull a move. And this is when it starts to really hit you just how repetitive and hopeless this cycle can get. Because you've devoted a good deal of your life to this sport at this point. You're doing things that just 2 decades ago were considered the limits of what people were capable of. And yet, you still feel so far away from the best climbers in the world. How has the level moved up so quickly in the last few years? Sure, you're absolutely incredible compared to all the people you grew up climbing with in your old gym, but they're just helpless little Gumbies that don't know any better. You've moved on from them, and like always, you can only compare yourself to the next step up the ladder. Once I fully turn pro, that's when I'm gonna feel like I belong. That's when I'll finally feel like I have the potential to be some of the best out there. And that's when I can finally take revenge on that piece of shit who keeps downgrading all my projects on Instagram. If you've made it to this level, congratulations. You're in the top 1% of 1% of climbers. Millions of dirtbags around the world look at you with envy. You're absolutely living the dream. You get to touch rocks for a living. And yet, this feeling, why is this feeling still here? This feeling of inadequacy. If you make a living by sending hard outdoors, you've reached a point that millions of climbers could only dream of. Yet you still feel imposter syndrome creeping around every corner you look. Because at the end of the day, even though you know you're an incredible climber, That route that you've been working on for the past 2 seasons, if Jakob Schubert was here, he would probably just flash it, and it wouldn't even be worth mentioning in his list of accolades. You're literally known for your insane crimp strength, but Will Bosey just flash FA'd one of your long-term projects that you sunk a bunch of sessions into. If you compete in the World Cup circuit, you've achieved your dream that you wanted so badly ever since you were a kid. But at the end of the day, you could literally be the most commercially successful climber of all time by 1.5 miles, be the only climber to ever become a household name, and still somehow not be as good as Chris Sharma was when he was 14 years old.
You know, Chris Sharma did Necessary Evil in his like 2nd year of climbing or something. I mean, it was the hardest route in the country at the time. He wanted to call it like, you know, turd burglar or something, like something totally stupid, or like, like the fart smuggler. Like, you know, it meant like nothing to him. He's just like, cool, I climbed this route. It was fun, moving on.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I've tried Necessary on and off over the years. And, you know, I've basically been climbing and training my whole life. And I still can't freaking climb Necessary. And you're sort of like, man, after 20 plus years of effort, I'm still not as good as Chris Sharma was as a 14-year-old. And you're just kind of like confounded.
You could be the greatest female boulderer to have ever lived and still be dissatisfied with your accomplishments after your best year of climbing.
I've spent too long thinking about life, and now I'm just sitting, waiting it out. I'm in purgatory until 2026. Just time and time again fell short of my own expectations. It was so hard on myself.
That is actually a fascinating insight into your mind. Just doing a sort of groundbreaking ascent, at least equal to the hardest boulder climbed by a female, wasn't enough. Is that normal for you, to be quite hard on yourself?
I think so, but I've never felt it to this degree, really.
But there is one person who has pushed the boundaries of climbing more than any other person in history. What happens when you're the chosen one who defines the limits of an entire generation and is considered to be the greatest to ever do it? So you've made it. You've reached the absolute pinnacle of the sport you care so deeply about. Surely the itch that has plagued you for so long will finally be scratched, right? Well, not so fast there. Climbing is really interesting because there's so many different forms of it and different styles that nobody, not even you, can be the best at all of them. You're the GOAT, there's no doubt about it. But when you go to sleep at night, you don't think about all of your endless accomplishments. You don't bask in the fact that millions of climbers around the world would kill to have 1% of your tick list. Nor do you think about how you'll be remembered centuries from now for pushing the boundaries of the sport for an entire generation. No, you think about how, despite all the sessions you've put into it, you're never gonna be able to do Excalibur, despite it being sent 4 different times now by other people.
If you could send any route in the world you haven't already, which would you pick and why?
The one that I feel that is probably impossible for me, which is probably Excalibur. There is just like one move on the 2-finger pocket, which I find it like specifically hard. I can do it in isolation, but like sending from the ground feels like
You think about how some random 16-year-old just called your long-term kilterboard project soft. You think about how you're never gonna be the same level of climber in competitions as you are outdoors.
But the physique, I just can't win. And I was never really able to win before. I can't win now, and even in the future it's the same. Of Toby Roberts, the physique that he has in terms of, you know, the power endurance is like nobody can beat him if he climbs well. It's just like the rest of us, we have to hope he makes some mistakes. It's pretty clear. And I think even if Jakob is a machine, I think if Toby doesn't make mistake on his good day, even him, he will have a hard time of climbing higher.
You think about how the one chance you had to compete in the Olympics at your prime, you just barely missed out on a medal.
I've gotten a little bit of insight into like how much preparation and dedication that really went into the Olympics for Adam. I think he prepared harder than pretty much anyone, and it didn't pay off in the end. It's almost like a grieving process, I think, that he had to go through, and now he seems to do a lot better. And just the fact that he's he's able to talk about it, and hat off to him for dealing with it so well, and also the preparation that he did. I think it was really impressive to see.
And most of all, you think about that one stupid move on Project Big that you've fallen on for 5 entire seasons now, and how just maybe you'll never be able to send the true king line of the greatest crag on Earth.
Also, my other project is to finally do BIG in Flatanger, which is like, besides Olympics, the worst nightmare I've ever had. Mostly because I just keep falling off the same move all over again. And I'm honestly considering giving up. BIG is like, it's a dream line. You know, it's undeniably a dream line. It's like, when I think of like what could be the best line in the cave, it's that. In a crag for sport climbing, which is, for me, the world's best crag, with the best stroke you can imagine for sport climbing. And still, there is nothing I enjoy about it right now. Like, nothing.